Mindsetters, welcome to today's Grade 10 Life Sciences show. Today we have a special revision lesson on transport in animals. We have selected highlights from lessons shown earlier in the term to help you revise this term's work. So please post your comments and your questions on our Facebook page or on Twitter @LearnExtra so we can help you with your revision. You can also download the show notes for today's lesson from learn.mindset.co.za or click on the link on our Facebook page. Now it's time to get on with today's lesson.
It says here, figure 1.1 is a drawing made from an electron micrograph of a longitudinal section, of a blood capillary. Okay, so we know that it is a blood vessel. And if we have a look here, all right, what are we going to notice? You should automatically notice that there are two distinct cells in the capillary. Okay, over here, if we look at it, we're going to see a nice, all right, large nucleus. So we are going to then know that that would then be the white blood cell. Some of you are taught a white blood corpuscle, right? Another one is a leukocyte. Remember, leuko means colorless. And here, the more flexible one, all right, as I said, because it needs to file through a capillary, that is going to be my, all right, that is going to be my red blood cell. Again, you might use the word, all right, red blood corpuscle, and as I said, erythrocyte. Okay, it is a cell that has no nucleus, right, and that is a good thing, because if we had a nucleus like that, say we had the nucleus, I drill the nucleus over here, the nucleus takes up space, right, that the red blood cell doesn't necessarily want to give it. Why? If I take away, all right, my nucleus, and if we go back to my pen, right, if I take away my nucleus, I can fit a lot more iron pigment in my red blood cell. See, no nucleus. All right, so the more hemoglobin, that iron, remember when you did your biochemistry, that iron pigment, hemoglobin, the more hemoglobin I can fit in, the more oxygen I could pick up. All right, and oxygen is somewhat essential. Also, you'll notice that it doesn't have a nucleus, all right? So, as I said, so it doesn't have a nucleus, and because it doesn't have a nucleus, the red blood cell, right, can't divide by mitosis, so it can't replicate, so it's going to have to renew itself. So the blood cells, they renew themselves where? Yes, in the bone marrow, okay? Remember the bone marrow, that is where they're going to divide by mitosis. Now, number B. You are all thinking, the first thing you do is you're thinking to yourself, okay, so if this is a white blood cell, and that is a red blood cell, that must be a platelet, okay? It's not pointing to the platelet. Let's have a look at this table and then see if we can identify what cell number B is. Okay, so cell number A, all right, what did we say it was? We said cell number A was a white blood cell. So there we go, was white blood cell. All right, and now we can finish the rest of my diagram. Its function is to ingest bacteria. Okay, and here you will see it's asked for the size. All right, it's asked for its size. Now, here my white blood cell is slightly larger than my red blood cell. All right, so we can maybe have 8 to 9 microns. Okay, so we're going to have something that's slightly larger. So that's my white blood cell. Now, this is my question mark one. So I'm going to skip that to just now. Cells number C, all right, cell C, okay, then it brings up other messages there for your phone, is my red blood cell, okay? What is its function? If we have a look here, cell number C, right, we know is my red blood cell. What is my function? It transports my gases, carbon dioxide, right, and oxygen. Now let's come back to question number, cell number B. Now if I said platelet, over here, the function is to permit exchange of gases. What is the function of my platelet? It's to have help with blood clotting. Also, if we have a look at the size, wow, that is way out of whack. Why? Because if I go back, I'm going to go one, look at one drawing back, right? If I go here, look how small my platelets are. But they're telling me over there that it is quite large, right? So they're saying that that is much larger than that. Okay, now, what cell is it? Okay, here is the capillary. It's the capillary, okay? A capillary consists of one single cell of, can you remember when we go mammalian tissue? Squamous epithelium, which when we're going to be doing vessels, we now refer to as an endothelium. Right, and it's only one layer thick. And because it's so thin, it allows gases to come in and to go out. So, if you wrote platelets, this would have been a warning sign, and this would have been a warning sign to you to say, hey, no. All right? Squamous, it asks you for the cell. So it will be a squamous epithelial cell. Okay. Then we get to the next question. It says the capillary shown in figure 1.1 was from a mammal. Okay? Red blood cells in mammals have no nuclei when mature. State one advantage and one disadvantage of this. I think I have answered it. All right? If you use a table, it's much easier for your teacher to mark. All right? Even though she doesn't say it so. Always be kind to your teacher. And that's what I said over here. All right, remember when we were looking? If I go up, all right, what was I talking about over here? The no nucleus. What is the advantage to having no nucleus? More hemoglobin. I'm just going to use HB. Okay, more hemoglobin, so more oxygen can be picked up. No nucleus, what that mean? It can't divide by mitosis, it can't, replicate, and therefore it has a lifespan. All right, are we nudge, nudge, winking to our challenge question? All right, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. All right, okay. The next question is, it's a bit of an odd exam type question, I must admit, but I think you can use this question, right, and even this diagram to use as a very important study method. Okay, it says here, look at the simplified schematic representation of the heart, the lungs, and body cells. It shows how the heart and lungs are connected. All right, so what are we thinking there? Pulmonary circulation. Okay. And how blood is pumped to the rest of the cells. What would that be? Okay, my systemic circulation. Using your knowledge of the circulatory system, which is comprised of those two, label and annotate the diagram. Please notice you have to do two things. One is to label it, and two is to annotate. It's one of my favorite things. I think my kids in my class hate me. I always give them A3 sheets with a picture in the middle, and they have to annotate the diagrams. I don't care if they hate me. I think it's a wonderful study method. What does annotate mean? It means your labels give me their function. Okay? So in other words, everything, right, is going to fit onto one diagram. So let's start. It also says here, there's a lot of things that you have to do in this question. And that's why I kept harping on the two colors. Use two different colors to outline the systemic, which I had told you about in the beginning over here, and the pulmonary. Okay, the systemic and the pulmonary. What I would suggest you do, all right, is I'm going to make you seasick just now. Don't use blue and red for that, because then you might get confused between oxygenated and deoxygenated. We'll use different colors. Okay. So if we have to look at, everything looks very confusing, doesn't it? So let's start. We said it's a systemic, almost systemic, a simple one. Okay. If I have a look over here, right, where am I going to start off with? Okay. Here's my lungs. Why? Because I know in the center, 1, 2 different chambers. This is going to be my heart. Okay, there's my heart. And please remember, right-hand side, left-hand side. Okay, so that you know. These over here, you can see, all right, these are called, obviously, your cells. Okay, now, when it comes to our cells, as I said, we're going to learn it as part of your circulatory system. If I cut you up, obviously I'm not going to, but if I cut you up, all right, and I always say to my kiddies, you are not biltong, all right? You are mushy and squishy and full of water, okay? Now, if you can imagine, you've got blood, all right? Now, you've got, most of you, 5 to 6 liters of it. Now it goes from a big vessel up here. Remember I said it has to go to your tiny, the cell at the end of your pinky. And as it does, it's like the highway system here. It goes from big, and then all of a sudden, all of you have been on that highway where there's been an accident. What has happened? All of a sudden, 4 lanes, all of a sudden down to 1 lane. And you get like a traffic jam, okay? And that traffic jam is important because what it does is little cells are going to move, makes the cells move through. But the blood plasma, all right, the blood plasma actually seeps out of your capillaries, okay? And when it seeps out of your capillaries, it bathes your cells, all right? You're going to become, this diagram you're going to become quite familiar with, all right? It bathes your cells, let me say blue, all right, in this fluid, all right? Because remember, it's very important, water, very important in your body, all reactions occur, everything dissolves, all right? And that is called tissue fluid. And that is essential, all right, that when the blood comes, it comes from the blood, all right, which is water, goes from the blood vessels into this tissue fluid, which is water, all right, then goes straight into the cells, which obviously the majority of it is water. So you see what a role water is going to play. Okay, so we've got cells, we have got heart, we have got lungs. Okay, so now we start. Remember I said now we've labeled it. Now by now you probably thought, oh, okay, now I'm finished. No, we're not finished. Okay, first of all, lungs. What do we know about the lungs? Let me change the color. Okay, what do we know about the lungs? Gaseous exchange occurs here. Okay, so here oxygen gets picked up, right, and carbon dioxide gets dropped off. That's my annotation. I'm telling you, all right, that is the function of my lungs. Okay, now I've got my heart. What is the function of my heart? It has to pump blood, all right, to the whole body. And that whole body would obviously include cells. Okay, the cells, they need oxygen for respiration, and they are going to give off carbon dioxide. So what also happens in the cells? Yes, gaseous, let me extend there, gaseous exchange. All right, now I have a few blood vessels here. Remember I said to you, certain blood vessels go to the heart. So this is going away. Away. So it is an artery. And what, all right, and what blood is it taking? It's got deoxygenated blood because it comes from the right side. Where is it going? To the lungs. So it's my pulmonary artery. And to be specific, it would then obviously be the one on your right. What does it do? Carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs. So you would then label its partner on the other side. What's it doing? It's coming back to the heart from the lungs. So lungs, pulmonary, artery, sorry. Then what? Carries oxygenated blood, right, to the heart. There we go. Okay, so we've made an annotated diagram. Now all that we have to do is color in which is my systemic and which is my pulmonary. I'm going to choose yellow for systemic. All right, so systemic is from the heart to the rest of the body. From the heart to the rest of the body. From the body to the heart. Okay, my pulmonary is my lungs. There's my key. My pulmonary is my lungs. I use a different color. I can color that in green because where is it going? It's going to my lungs. And obviously the other side as well, because it's going to be coming back. Okay, looks like a bit of a scroll. Wonderful way to study.
I think it's time for a break now, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Mindsetters. Even though we are selecting highlights from previous shows, you can still follow me on Twitter @LearnExtra, or you can post or comment on our Facebook page. Now, let's do some more revision.
So today we're going to do a dissection, right? We're going to do the heart. I know you guys enjoy things like this, so I made sure that I could get it done. Right, so before we do it, what we need is we need to get Looney dressed. Make sure she gets a lab coat so she doesn't mess up all her stunning clothes. And of course, I must do the same. Then we need this stuff called safety gloves. Well, it's actually not safety gloves. It's just to make sure that you don't get all the blood and everything on your hands, right? So we get gloves, you know, the surgical gloves. So, Looney, how many hands do you have?
I have 4.
You have... She has 4. Okay, so there's 2 gloves for you, 2 gloves for me, right? And of course, we've got all our stuff that we're going to dissect it with. Okay, so let's push this in nice and quick. Because the quicker we get this on, the quicker we can get started. And knowing me, I haven't even closed my jacket. You've closed everything up already.
I just closed one button.
Because I like my mindset t-shirt.
Yeah,
I like
I
to
want to
keep
show
it
a
nice
bit.
and clean. Not. Right? We need to get down and dirty. Right, so, Looney, what are you playing with there? See, now you can mess around with it.
Yeah, it's so cold.
It's because it's been in ice all
Is
day.
this fat?
Exactly. That is fat. Now, do you think that's very healthy? Show them the fat, Looney.
Look at that.
all this white stuff is
Yeah.
fat. Right? Now, do you think that's good?
No, hey.
Do you think that's really good, if you think about it?
It's not good.
Now, this is a what? What do you think this is? It's got a big heart, right? Mm-hmm. And it's normally a big animal. And it chews the cud. And yeah,
A cow.
A cow,
Yeah,
very nice. That's a
yeah,
cow's
yeah,
heart. Right, now, first thing we need to have a look at is we need to identify the heart itself. Right, it's nice and easy. Now, first of all, I said to you, can you see all the fats around the edges?
Yes.
Now, what is cow's bred for?
Cows?
What do we use cows for, mainly?
Meat.
Meat, food.
Yeah.
So what do? We feed them and they stand still, right?
Yes.
And that's why they get all this fat around the heart.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you took, for example, like game, like an impala or something, they wouldn't have as much fat around the heart because they don't need it.
Okay.
Right? Now, this is very bad for us. So if we have fat like this around the heart, it's not very healthy.
Pure.
Okay. So now, before we even look at anything in the heart, we need to decide what the outer parts of the heart are made up of.
Okay.
Right, so we're first going to see, we got this pointy bit, can you see, and we got the top. Now, this is called the apex, so the apex of it, which nice and easy, apex,
yeah.
very nice. And then this piece here is called the base.
Base.
Plain and simple. Now, to try and find out which is the left side and which is the right side. Now, please, I want you to look at this very carefully. I'm just going to turn it the way I was looking at it. Okay, whether it's wrong or right, it doesn't matter. If I had the heart like this, my right hand is here, right? I turn it round and have a look at it. Now look where the right side of the heart is. So on my left-hand side. So every time I point to this side, it's your
Right.
right. Every time I point to this side, it's your
Left.
You see how difficult it is? And you get confusing very easily.
Yeah.
Now, if I pick this up, I'm having a look at special things, right? Now, I've got this big funny stuff over here, which, what do you think they are? What comes out of the heart and goes into the heart in it? Veins and arteries, right?
Yes.
So there's all the arteries. We'll figure out which is which just now. Okay, so there's some arteries. They're nice and strong. Feel they nice and big. You can stick
so
your whole
thick.
yeah, so nice and thick. It's
But
got
the
a
human
pump.
heart is not this big.
No, the human heart, your heart, bless her soul,
It's this small.
is that big. Right. Look at the difference.
Yeah.
Small, beautiful little heart, big,
Big.
solid heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're having a look. We've got the arteries there, right? Now, we've got the apex and we've got the base. Okay, now, if I have a look at it, your main big artery, right, which is that one here, okay, do you know what the big artery is that takes blood to the whole part of your body? Take a guess.
The big artery.
The big artery. The big artery. It's your aorta.
How was I supposed to
I don't know. I'm trying to help you, right? And then you get your pulmonary artery and your
Okay.
pulmonary veins,
Okay.
right? And your cardiac veins and all of that. So that's what we're having a look at.
All
Right.
right.
So before I cut the inside off, let's see. Looney, I want you.
I want to cut. You know.
You want to cut. Okay. Well, I think it's unfair that I don't get to do anything. So Looney wants to cut.
Okay.
So there you go, Looney. I
Oh,
brought one
my
for
own
you
heart.
because I knew you'd be
Thanks.
here.
I want to.
Right. And I brought you a nice big one.
Okay.
Looney, see if you can just take off some of that fat. So just cut off the fat. Try not to damage the heart too much. Okay.
Just a slice.
No, cut some fat off. I want to see.
Okay.
I want to see the fat. I want the fat gone there.
Okay.
Okay. This is the part that normally takes the longest. If you cut off and watch your fingers, hey Looney. Now while Looney's doing that, I'm gonna cut the heart open. I'm gonna cut this one open, completely open, and I want Looney just to try and take the outside part of that one off. Right. So I'm gonna carry on cutting. You'll see what I'm doing just now. Okay. I've done this for a reason. Okay, I want to
Your
cut.
part is
That's why I made sure that I had two hearts so we can see exactly what is going on. I brought scissors and I brought a scalpel. And it's always nice to cut it nice and easier so we can get everything going. Come on, cut it, cut it. It's like using a pair of scissors in primary school.
This fat is so.
There's a lot of fat, eh?
Yeah.
Lots of fat there. Okay, so what I've done while Looney's cutting that one, I cut the heart almost in half. I want to make sure I cut all those pieces off. Okay, let's go a little bit more there. Come on. I've done it like this for a reason. I'm going to cut the other one in a different way. I just wanted you to see exactly how everything works, right? And the only way we're going to get that done is if we cut this nicely.
Yeah, that looks
Come on.
cool.
This is very difficult, I promise you. It's not as easy as it looks, right? It's not as easy as it looks. I'm going to cut that part off there. Come on, and all this fat. I'm doing a very rough job here so we can start seeing what is going on and through the arteries and veins. Ah, there we go. Now I've cut the heart, as you can see, in half. Right, so there it is. And I've cut it in half. And if I open it up, that's what you're going to see. Look how cool that looks. Right? It's awesome. Now, I'm going to see if I have something that I can lift it up with slightly. I'll wash this. I'm not worried about it. Right? So that you can see quite nicely. Okay, so if we do that, just have a look at this. I want you to have a look at the two sides. Now, you see there is a chamber here. Can you see the chamber here? There's a chamber there. There's a chamber here. Okay? Okay, watch again. There's one chamber. Okay, there's a big chamber. Can you see if I open it up there? There's a huge chamber in there. Can you see it? Nice and big. That's one chamber. And this part is another chamber, this white piece. And this part, okay, is part of the first chamber, which is over here. Okay, and this part is part of the second chamber. Okay, now the heart, as we know it, has got 4 chambers. It's very easy, 4 chambers, and each chamber does a specific job. Now, if I had a look at the 2 chambers, okay, I'm going to put this one aside. I'm going to have a look at this small one here. Okay, this one, you see how it goes in? Look at the size of this wall. Can you see it? It's nice and big, hey, but it's actually quite thin. If I have a look at this chamber's wall, look how thick it is. Look at the difference in size. Okay, why do you think that is? Looney, if I do that again, look how thick this chamber wall is. And look how thick this chamber wall is.
Does it have to do something with the side of the heart?
Oh, well, think about it. It's not about the side of the heart. I want you to think about it. If you see 2 men walking down the street and you see one that's like this big and one that is this big, what does it tell you?
One is like on a...
One is stronger than the other, right?
Yes.
Now, if we have a look at it. If I put this, I mean, there's the thickness of the wall. There's the one, there's the other. Look at the difference in sizes. Okay, look at them. This one is not as strong, right?
Yes.
And this one is a lot
Stronger.
stronger. Now, this side, this one, it's so big. It's so big, right?
Yeah.
If I put it like this, there we go. Look at the 2 difference in sizes, right? That one and that one. This one is so big because it's got a pump right round the body.
Oh, okay.
This one just has to pump up to the lungs.
Oh, to the lungs.
Oh, so how cool is that? Only to the lungs, to the rest of the body. Okay? So if that is the case, if this side has to go to the rest of the body, right, that means that is how the front of the heart is. Because that is how my heart sits. The left-hand side pumps to the rest of the body. The right-hand side pumps up to the lungs. It's nice and easy, hey? That's so cool. Now, if I open it up again, you will notice that here we go. This is how it looks. Right, simple, right? Now, I'm going to grab hers in a few seconds. I'm just going to move this one over. Let me see this. Now, in actual fact, that's fine. I want to get there. You know, it's fine.
So
what I
much.
want, before we even get anywhere,
Okay.
I think we need to give out that challenge question while we're busy with this. Hey, what do
Alright,
you think?
cool,
Right.
yes.
The challenge question for you, nice and easy. Let's see what you got. What is positive about having 4 chambers in the heart?
Should I put it up?
I've posted it already.
Okay.
The challenge question to you guys is, what is the positive about having 4 chambers in the heart? Now, Looney has done, Looney, play with that one. Looney has done quite a nice job with this. She's taken it off. Look how nice and solid, meaty that is. Right. Now, the reason why I haven't cut this one yet is because I want to have a look at these things over here. Okay, those things, can I have that scalpel by any chance? Thank you. Those things here are your arteries and veins. Now, you will notice there's still a lot of fat around here, right? I'm just trying to get rid of it without cutting my fingers off. Nice and simple. Now, I've cut open the side of this one, okay? Now, if you have a look, how thin is that wall? Have a look.
Fairly thin.
It's fairly thin compared to this
Compared
one
to
again,
this
hey?
side, yes.
Very thin. That means this side is a thicker, right? So this side is the right side of the heart. This is the left. Okay. And if it's a pulmonary, if this side goes to the lungs, okay, watch carefully. What comes in? You get your superior and inferior vena cavas, right? That's the veins that come in. The inferior comes from the bottom. Superior, you always think of a king being superior and he gets his hat on, right? So that comes from the top half of the body. Inferior comes from the bottom half of the body, right? And then they go into the heart. It's nice and simple. And they're going to come in this area here. If I can find it. Okay, there we go. They're going to come in there. Nice and simple. It's going to go in, right? It's over here. It's over there. They're coming in. Right, nice and simple, in there. Now, these two, these big ones here, okay, these are cool because if I stick my finger in there, right, if I stick my finger all the way in, it's going to tell me where it's going to go to. So if I stick my finger into this one, look here. Look which side it goes to. It's on the left side, right? It's on the right-hand side. So this part here is an artery that's going to go to the lungs. and that means it's your pulmonary artery. Your pulmonary system is the respiratory system, so the lungs. So watch again. I'm going to stick my fingers in there, and it's going to go into this big chamber over here. And you see it. Helene, can you see it?
Yes.
Goes into that chamber.
Yes.
You just want to stick your finger in, don't you?
Yes, hard to touch.
Stick your finger in. Go mad.
There you go.
That's the whole point, right? The one next to it, okay, if I try and get in there, goes into a different chamber. And no matter how hard I stick my fingers in, I can't get in there, okay? Now, and Luni, you can feel, look at that. Stick your finger in that one and see how far you can go in. Which way are you going to go?
Going this way.
It goes this way. So that's a different artery, hey? If I stick my finger in there, where does this one go? Okay? That way. So now let's look again. Okay, so Luni, let me have a look at it again. Here we go. This one is going to go to this side, right? I'm going to say this side so that you understand, so you don't get confused with the heart, right? These two, if I stick my finger in, it goes that way. See, it goes that way. This one, that way. So these two are coming out. They actually, if I had to cut them slightly, watch this, look how cool this is. If I had to cut these two,
They join.
look at that. It's one big one. Okay? So that's a nice big one. Look how big it is. Right? It's nice and big. That there is the aorta.
Okay.
Okay, it's the nice big one. So I'm going to cut this away because I want to show you guys a couple of things. I'm going to cut the arteries away because they're in the way at the moment for what I want to show you, right? If I just have one more quick look at the artery, look at the inside of the artery. Look at the smooth muscles that's there, right? It's slippery. It is. It's very strong. Look at this. It's strong. When I say it's strong, I mean it's strong. You get where I'm coming from. Now, the question was, before you went on the break, why does it have to be so strong? Okay, now, this thing is a pump. That's all it is. It pumps blood around the whole body, okay? And when it pumps, it gives a lot of pressure inside there. And every time the pressure comes, it's going to put pressure in the arteries, and the arteries go big. And that is why arteries leave the heart. What returns is veins. So you can't say, this is the biggest mistake that everybody makes. They always say that arteries has oxygenated blood and veins have deoxygenated blood. That is absolutely wrong. Okay? Think about it carefully. The superior and inferior vena cava come into the heart with deoxygenated blood. Plain and simple, right? So they're going to come in, and I'm going to show you on this heart, right? They're going to come in to this part here, into the heart. Right, goes in, nice there. I will cut it open just now so you can see. Goes in, goes into the one chamber, then goes into the next chamber. That's deoxygenated blood, gets pumped up to the lungs. From the lungs, it gets oxygen. What returns from the lungs? Is it arteries or veins? Okay, veins come back, called the pulmonary veins, right? The pulmonary arteries took it to the lungs. The pulmonary veins bring it back, goes into the blood, back into the heart, down the one into the next chamber. I haven't mentioned chambers names for a reason, so don't stress. Right? Into the one chamber, into the next, pump out the aorta, goes up to the brains and down to the feet. That's how it works. Okay? So arteries can carry oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Veins can carry oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Right? Plain and simple. Now, why I moved this? Okay? Can you remember there's two chambers, there's four chambers in the heart, right? First of all, they're divided into lower heart and upper heart, okay? It's also divided into left and right, okay? Now that we've cut it open, the nice thing to have a look at, I'm going to pull this one across because it's quite nice, okay? Now, your heart, if I have a look at it, remember, this is the, which side? That side. So I better take this one so you don't get confused, okay? That is the part, the right-hand side. This is the right-hand side, this is the left-hand side. You see how quick it gets confusing, right? Now, if we have a look at it, this is divided. Let me get my little pointers so that you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm sure I brought one out, but anyway, come on. Dissect your dissecting needle, okay? It's divided into these sections. You get your covering just on the outside over here, right? This covering here is your perimysium. Right? This is your, need to find out. Come on, think about it. What is this called? Looney, do you know what this is called? Not at all. Okay? send it to Looney. I'm going to leave it there. Okay? I want to know what this part of the heart is called. You get your perimyosin. This is your, I'm leaving it there. This part separates the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the heart. Now, we always look at the heart. We think that the heart is divided straight down the middle like that. It's not. It's not straight down the middle like that. Have a look at it. Okay? There's no ways. This one, this little bag over here, can you see this little bag up here? This piece here, right? That is a chamber of a heart. This one, this is the chamber of a heart. It's a small chamber, okay? This is your chambers. You normally get your ventricles and your atrium, right? You'll get the top, the left atrium, the right atrium. You get your left ventricle and your right ventricle. Now, it goes according to the alphabet. A is at the top, V is at the bottom. Okay, so I've made sure that I've done this one, and I've got it here, and I'm gonna cut this fat away. Let's see if we can get into the different chambers, because I want to show you those funny valves. You know, you've always heard about these bicuspid and tricuspid valves, and I know I'm talking to the ground at the moment, but I want to show you, see if I can show you this whole bicuspid and tricuspid valves, because they're nice and interesting. Okay, now, do you know what they actually do? Okay, they separate the atrium from the ventricle. That's their job. Okay, they separate them, first of all, for a good reason. Okay, the atrium, here we go, there's the veins. Look, the superior and inferior vena cava. Look at them there. Superior, inferior, look at that, all in there. Now, this part here is, I'm going to cut it down the middle, just so you can understand. So I'm going to cut it this way. Okay, so you can you can understand where I'm coming from, nice and gentle. Right, there we are. Okay, come here, heart. We're going to use you as a ladder. Okay, so remember I said that this part here was your atrium, right? If we open it up, there's the atrium. It's a whole bag. If you look on the inside, it's a nice whole bag. You can see it. Open it up. That's a whole bag that you're going to put blood in. See how many veins are in there, right? Quite cool. That one shows it nicely. I'll show you now. But as you open it up, I want you to have a good look at the inside. Look at that. Let me see if I can cut this so we can open it up nicely. You can actually see what's going on. There it is. This part here is the ventricle. If you have a look, it looks like one chamber. Can you see it? It looks like one chamber, but the reason why it looks like one chamber is because I cut the main part off, and that main part, right, is the bicuspid and tricuspid valves, and this one shows it quite nicely. You'll see it's a very thin skin. Can you see it? Look here. It's a very, very thin skin. So this skin joins with that one. Okay, it joins over there, and it actually lets things in. Okay, there it is. Let's have a look, see if I can poke it and wiggle it around. Yeah, look at this. That's it. Okay, there it is. And it's joined on. Okay, so it's all these little fibers joined on. Okay, now, when the heart gets pushed into here, right, when the blood gets pushed into here, it's sealed, right? There it is. It pushes, this one contracts because it's a muscle. It pushes all the blood into this chamber over here, which is a ventricle, right? Then when this one wants to pump, pushes closed. These pieces, they slap closed to stop the blood from pushing back up into the veins and go back to where it comes from, because we don't want that, right? Because if that happened, if I'm having a look at this side of the heart, this part is going to pump straight back to the lungs. We just got it from the lungs. This is oxygenated blood. We want to send this to the body, right? So that is what it looks like.
I think it's time for a break now, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. Let's not waste any more time and get straight back to today's revision lesson.
Let's start with the questions. Okay, as I said to you, when it comes to the questions on this section, first thing, be aware of the differences, structure, artery, vein, capillary, and their functions, right? Make sure you have the layout of the lymphatic system and you have a general knowledge about the different diseases. Also heart transplants, those kind of thing. Chris Barnard being South African, the first heart transplant was done by a South African, right? Which for us is quite significant, and you might get a case study or something there. Okay, if we have a look here, it says diagrams A, B, and C below show cross sections through 3 different sorts of vessels. They are not all drawn to the same scale. Okay, now, if we have a look here, the first thing that you need to do is just by looking at the structure, you should be able to see which is which, okay? This one over here, number A, we notice has a large muscle layer, all right? What characterizes a large muscle layer? Number A would then be an artery. If you look at number B, it's small, it's thin. Look, it's much smaller than the other two. It's very, very narrow. Only one layer. That is going to be our capillary. All right, number C, yes, it still has muscle because we still need to get the blood pumped to the heart, but it has less muscle than my artery. It has a larger lumen. So what is that? That is then going to be our vein. All right, as I said to you, looking at the diagram, be able to identify it. Sometimes they, as I've done here, just ask you for identification. Other questions they might say, give a reason. Okay, now the next one goes back to biological skills. It says, determine the magnification of the drawing of blood vessel A. Show all your workings. All right. And I'm not swearing. Remember, it's the damn triangle. Drawing over actual, all right, over magnification. Okay, so now I want M. It says, what is your magnification? There we go. How do you work out magnification? The units of measurement is times. Now this is how you work it out. You write M equals, remember, this is a divide line, that is a times line. So M is D over A. All right, what is my drawing size? Read the question. All right, they are not all drawn to the same scale. What is my drawing size? Now I know what you do. You take your ruler and you measure. All right, you take your measure, can you see there? That one, you take your ruler and you measure that distance. Now as a clue, seen as though here is in millimeters, all right, stick to millimeters. So what's my drawing size? I'm going to say, for example, all right, it's maybe 3 millimeters. Okay, what was my given? There we go. What is my actual? There's my actual. It told me. It said to me, that is what it is. 5 millimeters. All right, and there, 3 divided by 5, you get your answer. And the answer is not millimeters, it's times. Remember your triangle. If I give you any 2 of those, you should be able to work out the third. Okay, now, question number, this is quite important. It says, state and explain, right? Not just state. State, so give a reason, and explain 2 ways in which a blood vessel of type B is well suited to its functions. Okay, so it's a capillary. All right, what did I say in the beginning? Okay, it's thin. It has, now explain. It has a single layer. Now let's go back to our blood tissue, our mammalian tissue. All right, squamous epithelium, but we call it endothelium. All right, single layer of endothelium. Okay, what does that do? It makes exchange much more efficient. All right. Also, the reason it is very, the layer is thin, it is very small. Okay, now, when blood goes through it, you'll do this again in grade 11. when blood travels through, the red blood cell just fits through there. So because it fits through there, it's much easier for gaseous exchange to take place. So it's small, the red blood cell, all right, fits perfectly, okay, enabling gaseous exchange to take place. We could have also said it has pores. Why? So the blood plasma can seep through to become tissue fluid. All right, and that's to keep a constant internal balance. So there we've come, all right, with the reasons why. Now, taking the question a little bit up. Now let's have a look. Below is a photomicrograph of a transverse section of an artery. All right, it says here, draw a large, low-power plan diagram of the specimen in the photomicrograph above. Do not forget labels and a heading. Okay, so what you're basically going to do, I'm going to quickly go back here. I want you to remember, that's what they're asking you to draw. This is what they're asking you to draw. Okay, they're asking you to draw the lumen and then the different layers. The adventitia, all right, the media, right, and you'll see over there, sorry, I put it over, right, the intima. Well, you guys might have different, your teacher might give you different layers, but there you'll see the tunica interna is the layer in the inside, almost like the endothelial layer. Then your tunica media, that is your very large muscle layer, and then your tunica externa, which is your connective tissue. All right, so if we go back again, what do they want you to draw? Let me get there. One more. Okay, so when they say they want you to draw, let me go back to pens. How many layers? They want a low power, so they want to see it. All right, and that's all you're going to draw. There we go. You're going to label it. Okay, tunica intima, the media, the adventitia, and there's your lumen. Or some of you might have muscle layer, right, connective tissue. Okay, in here you might have endothelium. Right, but there, do not forget labels and a heading. And how do we always start a heading? A biological diagram of a artery. Okay, there we go. All right, and if you're teacher specific, they might even ask for a magnification. Here, describe one visible way in which this artery, all right, is suited to its function. Have a look here. What will you mention? Very large layer of muscle, all right, and what does muscle do? It's able to pump the blood, all right, to all areas of the body. So have a look, one visible reason from your diagram. Then we take the same picture. Now have a look here. Same picture. All right, now all of a sudden there's a difference. What is all of this? What is all of this? Okay, all right, what is that? What is a visible difference? This artery is blocked. All right, it's blocked with plaque. Same as the plaque on your teeth, icky. All right, that's the visible difference. It's blocked. Its lumen is much smaller. And now because it's much smaller, all right, we're going to have much greater pressure. So a person with arteries such as the ones in the second micrograph is at risk. Describe 2 severe conditions that occur, all right, from such a person. Atherosclerosis, okay, which leads to heart attack. Okay, or you could say stroke, and suffers from high blood pressure. And obviously, all of that can lead to death.
joining me and for chatting to me during the show. Please visit our website, learn.mindset.co.za, to get the notes and to watch the videos from earlier in the year. And remember, we are here to get you through the year, so stay connected. Goodbye.